It's been almost 3 years since the last mainline Sonic game released. I said Sonic game. And it wasn't just any Sonic game. It was a game that showed us that Sonic teams still had it in them. Sonic Frontiers brought the faith for Sonic games back. But even with Frontiers' success and acclaim, it wasn't perfect. Mechanically, narratively, graphically, it had some issues. But what are the most important things that the sequel has to improve or add in order to become an even bigger success? Let's take a look. First, and probably the most obvious, the graphics. Sonic Frontiers isn't a bad-looking game, but it has a lot of room for improvement. When we look back even more than 10 years ago, at games like Generations or Unleashed, there's some considerable downgrades in the graphical department. The one thing that really needs to be addressed, which I'm sure they'll never make this mistake again, right, is the pop-in. Frontiers' most infamous graphical issue was assets popping in when you finally got close enough for them to appear. You learn to look past it, and honestly doesn't bother me that much, but it is kind of taking you out of the immersion. Other than just improving, an addition I'd love to see is a more unique art style. It's cool to see Sonic running around in a realistic environment, but just because it looks realistic doesn't make it automatically interesting or fun to look at least after a really long time of playing in a wasteland. I think it can be more of a realistic environment. It doesn't have to be something like Dream Team where everything's all goofy and cartoony. Not that that doesn't have its place, but maybe instead of just having giant open fields, you could have a city to run through, or more detailed mountain ranges instead of just a couple of mountains here and there. Just more variety and just make it more interesting. One thing that really bugged me about Frontiers was the cyberspace stages. A big problem I had with them was just how arbitrary they felt. In some of the best Sonic games, going through a stage meant something. You were running to stop something. You were trying to save someone. You were escaping something, like a city. The stage had meaning beyond just having to do it for the sake of having to do it. In Sonic Frontiers, yes, narratively it has a point, but it's only told to you right at the beginning, and practically it's only to collect the keys for the Chaos Emerald. I don't know about you, but to me, it just made playing them feel empty and unsatisfying. Almost like they were just filling up space because they had to be there. There is one more issue with them, but that's for the next section. Now, what I hope they do in the next game is rectify that. Have the stages be a part of the world we're exploring. The whole stage doesn't have to be built into the world or anything. Not that that would be a bad thing, I'm just saying it doesn't have to be that way. You could do it in the same way that the hub worlds do in Sonic Adventure 1. Sure, it might not be directly connected to the open zone, but having it feel like a real location you're actually running through would be much more fun and satisfying to me than just being dumped into a void with a bunch of assets. Frontiers had two very different sets of physics. Physics in the open zone and physics in the cyberspace stages. As for the open zone, they weren't half bad. When you're fully upgraded, you can get really fast, and you've got a lot of room to use that speed. A few small tweaks here and there would make it feel immensely better, with room for more additions. Trigger warning, I'm about to use the M word. This gameplay style desperately needs some sort of momentum. Now, I'm not talking about something akin to fan games or the mods for Frontiers, where you can gain enough speed to just fly across the whole map. But I can't be alone thinking it feels awful to go from 100 at boosting down to like 10 right after letting go of the button. That does not feel good to me. And yeah, running down a hill should gain speed instead of going the exact same speed as you would if you were running up the hill. It doesn't have to be anything insane. I know the comparison's been made 100 times before, but look at the momentum in Super Mario Odyssey. Obviously, I want to go a little bit faster than that, but going downhill and uphill is different in that game. He even rolls. It is a shame that that game has better momentum physics than Sonic games do right now. I just want to feel like I can earn my speed sometimes. Then we have the cyberspace stages, where aside from a couple, the speed is almost non-existent. Don't get me wrong, going a little bit slower for some more detailed platforming can be really fun. Keyword can. You still gotta make it fun. Sonic feels really clunky and subdued compared to the open zone gameplay, and it really holds those already pretty bland stages back. Now, this is a really easy fix and improvement, since they already did that with Shadow Generations. If they want to keep the boost style stages as their cyberspace or whatever they decide to call it this time, just make the levels how you're making them now. Or should I say, let's make them even better. Just make it fun. That's all I ask. Sonic Frontiers' story was a huge upgrade compared to his prior outing. That bar wasn't set very high, but it was still pretty good. But it could have been even better. To be more specific, it could have been told and presented better. The story itself is pretty good. It just could have been shown in a more either exciting or interesting way. Most of the cutscenes in Sonic Frontiers are pretty solemn and, for lack of a better term, dark, other than the fight scenes, obviously. And at the same time, a lot of it is just talking. Which, don't get me wrong, I like slowing it down, I like having story told to me as well, and I'm a huge advocate for serious moments in Sonic games. I think a much more grand, big adventure, spanning multiple locations, would go a really long way. Not only for the gameplay, but for the story. Let Sonic's friends actually do stuff with him, instead of just being talking MacGuffins waiting for him to rescue them. Have the gang go places and have them do stuff, other than just watching Sonic collect keys and then fight a boss and move on. From the time that Forces release all the way up to now, my faith in the series was at 0 and is now back at 100. I'm confident that the next game is going to be better than Frontiers, but what my big wish is that it blows it out of the water.